Today let's talk about the plot of the game Xuan Yuan 7 and I wanna tell you how difficult all these Chinese names are to remember. Nevertheless, the game is completed and I will tell you about it. We play as a guy named Taishi Zhao, who has a sister who has been sick since birth. It all starts in a house where the main character and his sister live, but suddenly monsters attack them. Zhao goes out to kill them and then makes medicine for his sister. But for now let's go back to the past. Zhao had a friend named Hon, whom he helped get a clockwork kite from a tree. In return she gave him a toy she made herself. Zhao returns home and delivers the scrolls he carried. Then he sits with his younger sister and starts singing songs. But then chaos ensues and the house is attacked. Zhao takes his sister and quickly escapes. But he manages to see his parents being killed in front of his eyes. Zhao manages to escape from the mansion with his sister. He also takes a scroll with him. Now we return to the present and a soldier comes to us asking for help and showing us the way. So together with the soldiers we set off on the journey and Zhao will be paid for it, so he can find a good doctor for his sister. And so he reaches the cracks he mentioned earlier. They try to lure with them, but Zhao refuses and just wants to take the money. But then a monster comes, which the general successfully deals with. Zhao takes money and returns home. Upon returning home, he sees a monster grab his sister and stab her with his dagger. Then Zhao uses the Elysium Rift scroll. He grabs his sister. When he entered his home with his sister, he used the Elysium scroll again and teleported to another dimension. The general failed to find them at home, so he ordered to find Zhao. In another dimension, Qin is still imprisoned, to whom Zhao turned for help to revive his sister, but first Qin needs to be freed. In the meantime, a ritual can be performed just to separate the soul from the body. And so the ritual is successfully completed and the soul is free from the body. Zhao, trying to free Qin, accidentally breaks the handle on the seal. Now we need to find those who can fix this detail, namely the Mohists. And the first target is to go to Mount Shan. But sending his sister, who is just a soul, is very dangerous, and for this she needs to be placed in a vessel or puppet. And for this we need to find an elemental which is not far from the village. So we return from another dimension and set off on the journey, but first let's take the toy. In the village, Zhao manages to find out where the altar is located. We reach the altar, but to open the entrance we need to find 2 more talismans. The first talisman is found among the wolves, whom we successfully deal with. The other one should be with a dead person, whom we'll later find, but it wasn't there. And in a village nearby we find this talisman, but the merchant asks for too much money for it. At this moment monsters attack the village. Our help is needed. Li Shu sends Zhao to Kayan to find his brother. The way there is very dangerous and there are many monsters on the roads. We reach our destination and deliver the signs that Li Shu gave us earlier, and he requests reinforcement. The main problem was Ember Wolf, which we managed to deal with. The other wolves scattered. This whole situation played into our hands and we managed to acquire the talisman for 300, but only with the help of Li Shu. We return to the ruins and insert the talisman. And now the gates are open. In these ruins we encounter puzzles that we have to solve. After solving the puzzles and killing the monsters, we encounter another big monster who tried to suck the soul out of Zhao's sister. We manage to stab him and even kill him. After that we find Elemental, and with its help we transfer the soul into a wooden doll. This doll was able to take on the full form of Shan, and our sister now has the ability to fight. After giving Shan a temporary form in the doll, we can now go in search of the Mohists at Mount Shan. In one village we discovered that the army of Legion is hunting us, and the Legion guards who came to the village were punished by us. The head of this village invites us to his home. We question the old man about how to get to Mount Shan. He also tells us about the girl in green who warned about the need to leave the mountains. Many monsters have been around lately. But he turned out to be a bastard and tried to kill us. Before that he dragged us with tea, which paralyzed us. But our little sister killed him and we were saved. Now we head towards our goal, and on the way we meet a man who knows the way to the Mohists. It turns out he steals things from them. He decides to go with us, so that we can clear the way for him, and he can safely get there. We reach the necessary gate and he opens the way for us, but he is killed by a monster in the back. A girl in red helps us deal with the monsters, who turns out to be a masochist, and tells us to just leave from here. But we don't listen to her and follow her. It turns out this girl is the same Hon childhood friend. We asked her for help, but she suggested that we first deal with the monster that controls the minds of all these minor monsters. We reach the huge monster and our task is to deal with it. After dealing with it, all the other monsters were also killed. We hand over the broken item, but Han says that this item belongs to other masochists, not from Shenmue. Nevertheless, such relics may be in her grandfather's collection. But since everything was looted, we go to the merchant and ask him to show us if there is such a relic. As it turned out, there is, but in a worse condition. Then he suggests that we go deeper into the mountains and simply take a grab at scenes that are there. We return to Lucia, from whom we ask for help to get to Lilin Mountain, which was closed by General Chang'an. We come to this general and tell him that we want to gather herbs for his village which is currently plagued. But first, to get to the mountain, we need to kill the monsters on the way. After all, he and his army are soon heading to Ishui, but he doesn't care about his own people. After killing the monsters, we can collect herbs from them, which will be useful against the plague. We also learned that the water here is contaminated and spreading the plague downstream. The general of this village gives us permission to go to the mountain, and we set off, where we find out friend to the merchant, who is surrounded by monsters. As soon as we deal with the monsters, we, together with Han, take the lift down. And we see Han talking to Mohan, who turns out to be a masochist as well. But all this doesn't matter. Legion has a device in which souls are held, and these traps affect the monsters in the area, causing them to lose their minds. It turns out this merchant knows much more than we thought, but now we head to the ruins to find parts to replace the broken ones. We reach the workshop and find the key we were looking for. We return to the Elysium realm where we need to free King. It turns out to be King Japan, who is a parrot. Now that he is freed, he can perform a ritual to return Xian's soul to her body. But something goes wrong and the sister's body becomes a monster. But after killing the monster, the sister's body disappears, all because you can't perform this ritual when there is black flame in the body, all because the mist walker struck it before. Now the only option is to find the mistress, as King Japan mentioned. That same girl in green. We return to Liaxia and ask him for help to get to Xia Pass in the north, since there is a war against Legion. Now our task is to find the lady in green. Along the way we encounter gear beasts that we need to deal with. After that we continue in one village where huge cracks are visible, and King Japan thinks it is his mistress, the lady in green. So we simply walk along these cracks until we find the lady in green. Following Black Flame we encounter mechanical animals controlled by the Legion army. They manage to find a way to enhance, namely they use traps for monsters, then extract their souls and use them to enhance their weapons. We arrive at another village where Imperial soldiers have been, who went to the mountains to deal with the monsters. On the way to Mount Shaoxi, trials related to an astrology-based maze await us, so Huagai, the inventor of the calendar, decided to seclude himself on Mount Shaoxi. And there are 4 altars there, scattered throughout the maze. But before heading to the mountains, the locals decided to perform a ritual for us and ask the spirits for protection. At this event, Han and Zhao finally kissed. The next day we set out for the mountain and we find the first altar. Offerings have already been made to it by people from the army. After a while the whole area becomes covered in mist, and to dispel it, offerings need to be made on the altars. But Japan said that if we dispel it, monsters will attack the village. Eventually, Xian, who ran ahead alone, activated the last altar, thereby opening the way for the monsters' attack. And also, during the fight with the monsters, she injured her arm, but Han managed to fix it. But now the monsters are heading to the village, all because of our little sister. We return to the village to deal with the monsters. And now onwards to search for the lady in green. We find the entrance but is closed with another puzzle. Now Zhao has to solve it. And here we enter the ruins where more puzzles await us. But after solving them, only one door remains before us, leading to the Molen River, where we will find our lady in green. And after traveling along the path, we find the lady in green. She agrees to help us return Shan's body, but first she needs more energy, which can only be provided by the sword she sealed. And our task is to retrieve that sword, specifically the Xuan Yuan Sword. When Jin sealed the sword in the Luban ruins, we head there, and are met by the Legion army who we deal with. Well, after entering these ruins we encounter a beta monster. Once we defeat the monster we go to the place where the sword is sealed. But suddenly the Legion army attacks us, and Mo Huan captures Hon. He wants us to give him the scroll. Mo Huan and Chu Hon had a teacher who taught them not to use clockwork for healing, and so clockwork is banned. Zhao decides to give the scroll after all. But Chu Hon doesn't like it. Then King Japan comes to help with a mechanical doll. Zhao manages to slow down time with the scroll, but Legion's arrows still hit Chu Hon. In the end, Chu Hon and Zhao jumps over the cliff, but everyone chasing after them. Shan heals the wounded Chu and she regains consciousness. Then Japan leads us to a place where we observe Liu Lu and the Legion army. They are preparing the meteor cannon, and since Mo Huan managed to take the Xuan Yuan Sword, there is enough energy now, and there is no need to gather many souls. Liu Lu turns out to be able to summon the Mist Walker to her side. We pierce this beautiful lady with a sword and go to stop Mo Huan's plan. In the same room we find information about the enemy's plan. Specifically, when the weapon is ready it needs to be sent to the Shen camp, and the Imperial Court requested 400,000 people to suppress the rebels. But now we know where Mo Huan is. The plan is to disguise ourselves as Legion and deliver the soul weapon to the garrison and sabotage the meteor cannon. We escape from the ruins and set out to execute the grand plan to destroy Mo Huan. First we inform Liu Shu about the enemy's plans, and we ask him to provide a couple of soldiers who will disguise themselves as Legion soldiers so that we can infiltrate the garrison and destroy the meteor cannon. With the help of a brilliant plan, we managed to infiltrate the garrison. Now all that's left is to reach Mo Huan and kill him, as well as destroy all the soul weapons and the meteor cannon. Huan manages to grab the meteor cannon with a harpoon to prevent it from aiming, and she fires it straight up. Mo Huan himself decides to fight us with the Xuan Yuan Sword, and the final blow is dealt by Chu Hon. Then occurred, the leader of the Legion army was defeated and the soul weapons were destroyed. A merchant named Wu killed the tyrant Wan Ma, and the new emperor became Li Shengon. But there were still those who were against it. As a result the war flared up again. In the end, General Wen Shu brought peace after years and became the emperor. Well, we bring the sword to San Wenjin, who is supposed to return Shan's body, but she asks us to help her destroy Black Flame, and then she can finally be free from everything and rest with her husband. Because she contains Black Flame, she lives an endless life. She also seals Japan inside the scroll, so that he doesn't see anything. And here is another ritual where we travel to the space where Black Flame is. We deal with this dark dragon, but San Wenjin disappears from this world as she wanted. Nevertheless, Shan will be able to return to her real body, which is absolutely intact. And we must return our Japan from the scroll, and go through the paths of his mistress once again. On this journey he will tell us about this lady in green, specifically that she was created by Master San, who was a grandmaster of fusion and could easily control Black Flame. Black Flame is San Wenjin was stable, but purple crystals could provoke it, thereby create a dragon, but if we manage to defeat the dragon, she will take damage and die. In the end, Japan was sealed to prevent him from seeing his mistress disappear. As a result, San Wenjin tried to wander this world to destroy monsters and let her marks everywhere. And she just wanted her doll-like life to come to an end, because she was already between life and death. Japan returned to his kingdom. The rest began to help people and rebuild what was destroyed, including the last of the Mohists.